What's been your biggest month on as a content creator, not on Facebook, but as a content creator in general?
As a content creator in general, highest month was 42K.
How many followers do you have on Facebook right now?
Right now on Facebook, I have 1.5 million.
There is something that you're missing out, and it's probably gonna double or triple your views in the next month. And this is called the strategy. And if you do that, I promise you, you will make more money. Like, you will make more money. I guarantee you that. All right, Josiah. So for the people who don't know who you are, can you tell us about what you do, how you started with the content creation, and anything you want to say?
I'm Josiah. I create content in the Christian space, so Christian content. And so I make reaction videos. I started making content back in 2018, just kind of dabbling here and there. And then when COVID hit in 2020, I was bored and didn't have much to do. And so I started making more content, and it actually made me realize that I could reach a lot of people with the message that I had to deliver. So I continued to press forward in that. And then when I actually realized that I could generate an income from this, it was just like mind-boggling to me. And then as of recently, just this year, I have become a full-time content creator, and this is like my full-time job. Never thought that I'd be able to do it, but that's where we're at now.
What were you doing before that, like before becoming a full-time content creator?
Yeah, so I was actually a youth pastor. So worked with a lot of teens here in Arizona. And so I did that for several years. And it's kind of crazy because now through content monetization, I'm making more in 4 months than I ever have in one whole year as a youth pastor, and making a bigger impact. So
Yeah.
I just think that this is just super cool.
What's been your biggest month on like as a content creator, not on Facebook, but as a content creator in general?
As a content creator in general, highest month was 42K, which is like wild. It like blew my mind on.
Yeah, I think was it like 70% of that was from Facebook, right?
Yeah, so it was 32 of that was from Facebook.
And you found me on YouTube, I think, right?
So I actually found you. I started watching your YouTube videos. Yep, and I literally, from the free content that you delivered on Facebook, or on YouTube, I started to apply that to my Facebook page, and it started to grow. And I was like, okay, now I got to jump all in on this.
All right, so let's talk about where you are right now, because I know you're trying to scale even more. You're inside of Facebook Creator Academy. I've seen your numbers. I've seen some of the stuff that you share with me in the behind the scenes, and I do have some notes for you that I want to share, because I believe that you can. Last month, from what I saw last month, there was a major event that happened, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, that you really capitalized on that. And you got like millions and millions of views from that event. And that was a big jump in terms of revenue, views, all of that. But then this month, October basically, was a major drop. And so what we're gonna try to fix here is essentially to avoid those type of things where essentially you have massive jumps and then those massive drops. We want to stay consistent, and of course I wanted you to make 50K a month or more on Facebook, because I think you have that potential. How many followers do you have on Facebook right now?
Right now on Facebook, I have 1.5 million.
1.5 million. And that was in less than what, than a year?
Oh yeah, so like I started the year, so February I was at 100K. So yeah, so between February and today, 1.5 million.
Are you still running ads for followers?
I'm running literally, like I'm just running just to keep it going, because I think, remember we talked about that. So yeah, it's literally like $10 a day.
Yeah, and you want to keep that because it does help with the page, especially because you know what, you want to keep that percentage of tier 1 audiences as high as possible. And I think you do have a really good tier 1 audience. Like, is it over 80% or 90%?
So actually it's 62% my tier 1. Yep.
What would be like the second and third countries that are following you?
And that's an area where I need to work on. So second and third is like Nigeria and the Philippines.
Yep.
So I definitely want to bump up the UK, Australia, Canada.
You've probably seen some of the posts inside of the community. Have you tested going for specific countries only by creating specific posts that only speak to those countries in order to see if you get a higher RPM?
Oh, to do the restricted one?
Yeah.
So I get to do more of that. I only did it on a few posts and I have not gone back to test, but I that's definitely something that I want to implement as well for sure.
There's a specific tutorial inside of the community about how to do that. And also, the main thing you should know is that like how to calculate the RPM. Because if it's not working, even if you get less views, but you get a higher RPM, it might be worth to basically just do that, not on every single post, but perhaps once a day, you can just do a single post that just targets the US, Canada, the UK, and all that stuff. That might be helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. I have a few notes that I want to go over with you. This is your page. I have some notes for you. The one thing that I noticed is that there's a major event that happened last month that really skyrocket your views and all that. But you can't just rely on that. So I made some notes, and the first thing that I've noticed is that you have to pick a lane. And so what I mean by picking a lane is that you are dabbling into two different areas. And believe it or not, you might think that this is actually the same audience, but it's not. So what I mean by that is you have a Christian-based audience, and then you have a Christian-based audience that is into politics. So you have to pick a lane. There's two different niches, believe it or not, even though if it's the same kind of people. The problem with that is that once you start going viral for one specific type of content, the algorithm will promote more of your videos to that specific type of people. By picking a lane, what I mean is you either go political with a basically, Christian base, the type of content that you would speak to those people from a Christian, but still political. Or you go step away from political content and just stick to picking a lane, which meaning like Christian-based content that doesn't mention anything political. So the problem that I see is that whenever you go viral or whenever you get views on something, like for example, this is a post right here that didn't perform as well for you, but this is considered to be, even though it's still a Christian-based type of content, it's leaning political. So you have to understand that once you go that route and you start getting people to follow you because of that type of content, they want to see more of that content and less of this. Most likely less of this stuff. So you have to understand that I would say you need to understand that picking a lane and sticking to that lane is the one thing you have to do. Like, for example, my own YouTube channel. If I start posting content about how I like to go to the gym, videos are not going to get promoted. My videos are not going to get discovered. And if I start posting content about other ways that you can build a business online, the problem is a lot of my content has to do with Facebook monetization and going on Facebook and all this stuff. Now, if I go and step outside of that, yes, I could get similar audiences of people interested in learning how to build a business on social media, but the problem is it's not going to be the same people, even though it's within that pocket of people. So what I'm trying to say is you must pick a lane. If you want to go political with a hint of Christian-based opinions, that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is when you try to do both, you're going to get your audience confused. And this is why you have low numbers on some stuff and higher numbers on other stuff. Because you don't want to go for political stuff only, or you don't want to go for Christian-based stuff only. You have to pick and stick to just which one do I want to go for? Which one do I want to stick to? Because if you just go for the political stuff, you're waiting on a major event to go viral. And you don't want that to happen. You want to be consistent and be able to scale that over time. So that's what I mean by picking a lane. I think that honestly, there's a big opportunity if you just go Christian-based content only and just stay away from political content. Because if you stay away from political content, like I said, you're relying on major events to get views, which is not something that I recommend you do. You want to be able to command how many views you want to get or how big you want to get based on the content that you make and not having to rely on trending news to go viral, because that is not evergreen content. That's not content that you can repost. That's not content that you can make money from it like every single month. How many times are you posting right now?
Previously, I was posting pretty much 24 hours a day, every day on the hour. And then when I noticed the dip, so this is why I'm grateful for the dip, because it's allowed me to think through the strategy. I didn't want to continuously post if it wasn't hitting. Right now we've slowed it down, especially like going into this month. So I scheduled everything, right? So everything's like pre-scheduled, but now that everything that has been scheduled is no longer scheduled, I'm pretty much clear now. And we're posting at least right now is like probably about 12 times a day in between texts, pictures. So I found like this format, this Conor McGregor picture right here, like we're doing different formats of pictures and the videos.
How much of that content is like a repost content?
So 4 times a day. So on the off hours, I'm doing reposted content. So like I'm talking about when I'm sleeping. So midnight to 8 in the morning, I'm running those reposted, reused pieces of content.
Is that including photos or is it just videos?
Just videos. Yep.
Mm-mm. You need to repost photos as well. So why would you not make money from something, from a photo that went viral 3 months ago? Why would you not continue to make money from that same photo? So I would just go back the last 6 months and find the photos. And by the way, I'm going to show you some examples because I knew you were going to say that. I had a feeling you were going to say that. Just go back the last 6 months and maybe pull 30 to 50 photos that did extremely well for you in terms of views and revenue. Pull them all into like a Google Drive or something, and then schedule them out once a day. And by the way, reposting a photo, it's not the same as reposting a video. You can repost a video anytime, but a photo, you have to re-upload that photo once again. So if you want, those photos tend to die in a third like couple days. They don't get that many views. So you can just delete the photo from 6 months ago and just re-upload it again. And trust me, those photos that went viral for you, if you check the stats, it's gonna be like 99% non-followers. So no one is gonna notice that essentially you're re-uploading the same photo. So you need to repost not just videos, but photos, because as you know, you probably know this already, photos can make you as much money as videos now. So make a list, go back the last 6 months, have someone in your team pull from like most reach, most shares on Facebook, the last 6 months, start pulling all of those photos. Some of those photos are going to be tied to specific events. You're not going to be able to use them. But some of these photos like this is a photo that essentially you can repost every month if you wanted to, because, you know, it's evergreen content. And this photo probably made you, let's just say that it made you $50, just to say you have another $50 sitting there waiting for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
So,
I off the top of my head, there was a photo that made me like $250 in just the first couple of like in the first day.
right. So do that, and trust me, just by doing that, next month you will make more than this month. I guarantee you that. So just make sure you keep that in mind. The second point that I have for you is the focus on storytelling. What I've noticed is that storytelling on your page does extremely well. And what I mean by storytelling is it you have some reaction content. So you're doing the reaction content. There's nothing wrong with the reaction content. But some of this stuff right here, Facebook doesn't really like it in the way that you need to essentially tell the story about what we're about to watch. And I made it a point here, and it says insert 5-second shocking verbal hook. And what I mean by that is, let me see if I can find you a better example of a video. This is what I mean. So basically what you want to do is, before introducing the actual content or video that you're going to be reacting to, you want to have a shocking verbal hook. Now, you know about text, folks, because this is something that we teach all of our clients inside of the Creator Academy. You know about the visual hooks, but the verbal hooks, the shocking verbal hooks, means that you're saying the hook out loud before you react to the content. So if we go, like, I haven't watched any of this. I'm trying to find a video that I can give you an example. So this is an example right here. So notice how in the first couple of seconds, you are sitting right there just looking at the content, and you're going to give us your take a couple minutes after the content. And this is supposed to be your hook, right? I get this is supposed to be your hook. But the thing is, you don't want that to be your hook. You want you as the brand of the page to be the actual hook behind what we're about to watch. So you want to say, hey, Jesus dying for our sins is some BS. So you can say, this guy just said that Jesus dying for our sins is just some BS. What do you think? And then you play the actual clip. And while the clip is playing, then you actually go and, give your opinion, your reaction, and all that stuff. You want to have essentially you being the star of a show, because this is your page. This is your brand. So if you just rely on other people with no names to take over your page, you're going to be essentially waiting for some sort of viral person to just say something controversial for you to react to that. So you don't want to do that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to have some sort of verbal hook, and it has to be shocking. It has to be something that just captures your attention in the first couple of seconds. And this is another example right here. This is you reacting to this content right here. This is the first 5 seconds. You can see it's just 5 seconds of whatever is going on here. I haven't watched this. But let's say that this is your hook. And then you start the video with a 7-year-old boy who is genderless is invited to the WNBA halftime show to dance. What the hell is going on? You guys tell me. and then you start playing the video. So that's what we want to say by a verbal hook. So if you just flick that, as soon as someone's browsing on Facebook and they see that, trust me, it's just gonna grab their attention. And other than just, hey, this is some random guy just reacting to this and I have no clue what the hell is going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. And I think even what I'm getting from your coaching is that I think that I'm doing that because I thought that I'm reaching the audience that already knows me, but I'm trying to appeal to people who don't know me at all. So that's the
Exactly.
reason. Yeah, that makes so much
You-
sense.
So you have to make every piece of content, every video, every photo, everything you do on your page with the mindset that you're making content for people who don't know who you are. How many views did you get, like your biggest month? Was it over 100 million?
Oh yeah, it was like 150 million.
Right. And I remember you shared the numbers, and I think there was like over 90% of the people were non-followers, right?
Right.
So that tells you that if you want to go hit those numbers again, you got to make content for people who don't have a clue who you are. The people who is watching this stuff, probably less than 5% of your followers are seeing like this stuff right here. So you got to hook them with every single video and have that mindset. That's the first change that I'd look. This is good. This is what I'm talking about. But the shocking aspect of that is you saying something controversial to get people like, this is a good transition right there. The first couple seconds, it's all about the hook. It's all about hooking people in. Like, I don't know what he said here, but whatever he said, you turn that into something controversial to get people to like talk and because if you get to watch the first 30 seconds, 45 seconds of a video, Facebook will promote that video to a lot more people. So far, you got everything?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so the next thing is we need to focus on lessons and messages for photos, not just motivation. And what I mean by this is this stuff right here seems to be like filler content. It's not moving the needle in terms of getting people to, I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to basically get something that is really related to your audience to get them to share that content because it's Christian-based content. But like I said, this is not moving the needle. And whenever you spot something like this that is just not moving the needle, you might get 1 out of 20 to hit. But whenever something like this is happening, it tells me that, hey, we got to stop doing this because this is not working. What I'm seeing is a lot of videos and photo stuff. Have you tested text?
Yes, and not as much as I could though.
Text, it's not meant to make you money, but text is meant to essentially help you understand what is the type of content that I should be turning into, like especially yours, because yours, you can do a lot of quotes and stuff like that. What is the content that I can turn into photos? And I would just like, if you want to see if this actually takes off, you can just post this as a test. And then, if it gets, let's say it gets 500 likes, then okay, I'll turn this into a photo. But otherwise, you're putting all this effort into turning this stuff into a photo, but you don't really know if it's gonna move the needle or not. So I would just turn those into a text stuff first and then turn them into a photo. Whichever top performing text did well for you, I would do that. And what I mean by this, focus on lessons and messages. And what I've noticed is that if we go to, so this right here, this is what I mean by focus on lessons and messages. This is what I mean by picking your lane. And what I mean by picking your lane is that you want to share the word of God. You want to spread your message. You want to bring people into God with your message. And so the best way to do that, from like going through your content, I went to like frigging 50 plus posts to see exactly what was going on. And what I've noticed is that there's patterns within your content. And the main pattern that I see is whenever something takes off, whether it's a video or a photo, is essentially that you have some sort of storytelling within the actual post. And that's what I mean by focus on lessons and messages for photos, because this stuff right here is a story. And this story got a bunch of people commenting, a bunch of people liking it. Even though you're not the star of the actual photo, you're still sharing the message. And the same thing happens here. This is Justin Bieber, 2,600 likes, and this is I'm guessing some sort of quote that he said. So basically, this is a message, right? So it's a storytelling and a message whenever you share stuff like that. So I would just look into more, more stories, more messages from known people that have turned into God, and basically share those messages. And you don't have to do it this way. Like, you don't have to do it like this, because this could easily be taken from your page, or it could be easily be replicated. I would just create some sort of brand or template within Canva and just try to make this into like something that's attached to your brand.
That's exactly what we started doing with like that Conor McGregor photo. We're going to start pumping out a lot more content just like that.
Same thing happening here. Notice on this one, 4,100 likes. So basically, this is you're using a famous person and a quote or something that he mentioned, and you're leveraging that. So this is storytelling and message is what I'm trying to say. Now, there is something that you're missing out, and it's probably going to double or triple your views in the next month. And this is called the opposite repurposing strategy. And let me explain what I mean by that. Instead of you having to experiment and try to find out, okay, so I'm going to react to a bunch of videos and I'm going to try to find something that sticks. Why not do the opposite? Because as you know, you're essentially can make money from photos, text, videos, all of that stuff. So everything is monetizable. So what you want to do is you want to take this, you want to dig a little bit deeper, and you want to turn this into a video. And this is a custom video that you make based on this top performing post. Because you mentioned this story right here, but I wish I had a little bit more information about it. Because I actually want to know what it is that he said or how he said it. And perhaps you can make a 1-minute video or a minute and 15-second video where essentially you say, hey, did you know that the voice of the Lion King said that his abundant or, his biggest thing was reading the New Testament? And you start telling a little bit of a story and you start using some of his photos, perhaps some B-roll from the movies that he's been in, like Star Wars and The Lion King, and you essentially create now a video that has the potential to go viral because of this one image. So this is what I mean by opposite repurposing strategy. You post a photo did extremely well for you. How do I turn that photo into a video? You post a video. The video did extremely well for you. How do I turn that video into a photo? So you see how you just go the opposite way of repurposing? So we have here essentially the Justin Bieber story. So the Justin Bieber story is, did you know that Justin Bieber said that Jesus is more real than the air we breathe? And guess what? He loves you. Let's say you start the video with that, some B-roll of Justin Bieber, no music and nothing, just a B-roll, and you start telling the story about when he said it, or maybe a little bit about his life and how turning into Jesus changed everything for her. Now you have something, because like I said, this is coming from a top performing photo that did extremely well for you. You turn it into a video, more chances, there's more opportunities for you to go viral because you're not guessing. You're taking from something that really did well for you already. Same thing right here. An entire Muslim family recently came to Jesus, right? So you have the whole script for your video right here on the right hand side. This is the script for your video. So you can say, you start the video, you use the photo on top of it, just like you do your reaction content, and you start with, hey, an entire Muslim family recently came to Jesus because the whole family has the exact same dream, Jesus Christ. So basically, this is your script right here. A video, a photo that did 3,700 likes. Now you're turning that into a video. So that is what I mean by opposite repurposing. If you upload a video from a reaction content that did extremely well for you, let's say you're reacting to a video that did really well. You got 10,000 likes, 1 million views on that video. How do I turn that video into a photo? Fairly easy. You just extract the context of the video. You take a photo of the actual creator or whoever you're reacting to, and you basically do the exact same thing you did right here. You tell the context of that video within attached to that photo. So viral video, photo, viral photo, video. Does that make sense?
Yes, 1000%.
So you don't need to post more. What I'm trying to say is like, you don't need to post 24 times a day. Yes, sir. If you figure this thing out, if you do what I'm telling you to do, like the storytelling, the messaging, the opposite repurposing, if you do that, you will get more hits, but you don't need to post more. Now, if you want to get to like the bigger numbers and you want to hit 15, 20 times a day, yes, you can post more, but you need to fix those things first, because this right here, this is nice filler content, but it's not moving the needle for you.
Yep. And that's exactly what I noticed. And I had gotten myself so far in the hole because it had already been scheduled out. And I was like, dude, I got to let this run out. So literally the month of November is blank canvas. I've got nothing scheduled. And I'm just like taking your coaching. I'm only going to be scheduling content that hits. And I know exactly what that looks like. So for sure, that makes so much sense.
So the first thing that I would do is, number one, go back the last 6 months, find those 50 photos that went viral for you in the last 6 months, repost them. And then you take the exact same photos, and maybe from those 50, you're not going to find opportunities to make video. Do the opposite repurposing strategy, meaning that you take from those 50, you probably find 25 video ideas, and you're creating video ideas from those top performing photos. And then you can do the exact same thing with videos. If you go the last 6 months, you find that those top performing videos, not every single one of them is going to help help you with this, but you can find probably 20 videos. How do I turn those into a storytelling post for photos? And if you do that, I promise you, you will make more money. Like, you will make more money. I guarantee you that, because you're tapping into something that already work. You're not guessing, you're not experimenting, you're basically repurposing and reusing the stuff that's already making you money.
Yeah, that's super helpful because I think even just the last several months, it's been kind of all over the place, throwing spaghetti on the wall and just trying to win based off of volume. But if the volume isn't working, it's actually hurting the page rather than helping it. And so this helps me get super intentional on we're only going to be posting what hits. And if it don't hit, we're not going to fill in that gap.
Yes. And the mindset that you need to have for this is, before you hit that schedule button for your content, is this is for people who don't know me, who are going to see me for the very first time. And number two, what lane am I trying to hit? Am I looking for political audiences, or am I looking for Christian-based audiences? Because if you decide to share something that's political, yes, you have the opportunity to go viral, but again, you will attract a lot of that political audience. And what's going to happen is, the next post you make about storytelling posts, that political audience is not going to react the same way, because even though it's still a Christian-based audience, they heavily lean into political content, not the Christian-based content. So just understand that there's a difference between those, even if they overlap. I know you have you've seen another content creator that we have in the academy. He does a lot of views and he makes political content. Like, he stays there. And even though it's still like a Christian-based audience, he just hammers that audience with only political content. And so you have to like pick the lane and do not move from that lane, because if you do, you will see the difference between like the people who like political stuff and the people who don't want political stuff, but they do want the Christian-based stuff. Any other questions you have?
Yeah, I don't totally needed this. It brought so much clarity to me, and I'm looking forward to the month of November. Yeah, I'm excited.
I think you have a massive brand. And by the way, I do know another Christian-based creator that does really well. It's one of the biggest niches in terms of like reaching massive amounts of people on Facebook, because as you know, older audiences are on Facebook. Like, we're talking 35 and up. They lean more of that type of content. They really consume that type of content. So the opportunity for you to like scale this to massive numbers is unbelievable. Like, you can hit millions of people. And best of all, the main thing is like, it's not just about the money, it's about spreading the message and, having that mission of, I'm trying to bring more people into like God and Jesus and all that stuff. So the money is great, but there's also has to be some sort of mission attached to that. Let's stay in touch. I know you're inside of the community. Give me an update in like 14 days. Let me know. But do implement everything we just talked about and just go pedal to the metal, like they say, and just go and hit it hard, because I think November is going to be one of the biggest months, because November, December, that's when most advertisers spend the most money on Facebook. So you want to capitalize on that and make as much money as you can.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm literally right after this about to jump on a phone call with my team so we can get the plan in action.
Great, man. All right, man. Nice talking to you. We'll stay in touch. And I guess we'll do an update in a couple months if everything goes well.